2018 Vauxhall Insignia Sports Tourer Review. The good points of Vauxhall Insignia Sports Tourer: impressive practicality, strong standard kit levels, comfortable ride, sleek looks. The bad points of Vauxhall Insignia Sports Tourer: dull to push, some lackluster engines, still feels somewhat cheap as compared to rivals, dated infotainment system. The Vauxhall Insignia Sports Tourer could be the estate version with the Insignia Grand Sport, and promises greater practicality, equipment and affordable than the previous generation model, which has been launched way back in 2009. To accomplish this, Vauxhall has risen the size of the company's flagship estate. It's now over an Audi A6 Avant, and stretched the gap between front and back wheels with a colossal 92 mm. The upshot is often a spacious and roomy cabin team that has a boot capacity all the way to 1,665 liters. Together with the rear seats folded, that's enough to contest with rivals, for example the Mazda 6 Tourer, Ford Mondeo Estate and Skoda Superb Estate. And yet, space race is merely half the battle in today's multifaceted large estate car class. The Skoda is superbly comfortable, the Mazda great to operate a vehicle, and the Mondeo an all-round contender. What exactly else does the Vauxhall have up its sleeve to compete while using class leaders? Watch on, bags of exercise machines for your money. As always with Vauxhall, there's an enormous selection of trim levels to select from, on the base design spec even the top-of-the-range Elite Nav. All models come as standard with 17-inch alloy wheels, aircon, keyless entry and keyless ignition, a 7-inch infotainment screen, Bluetooth phone connectivity plus Apple CarPlay, Android Auto and Vauxhall OnStar assistance. There's more too, as Vauxhall tries to bring the Insignia Sports Tourer in line with all the cutting-edge equipment situated on rival cars. Optional equipment has a head-up display, autonomous emergency braking, wireless charging and adaptive LED lighting. 6 available engines really are a weak link. We've no complaints concerning the sheer diversity with the engines being offered. People are available super efficient 110 horsepower 1.6-liter diesels and 260 horsepower 2.0-liter turbocharged petrols if and when they wish. However, the all-new 1.5-liter petrol doesn't feel as punchy because figures suggest, and offerings from rival manufacturers are crisper and even more enjoyable they are driving. Over within the diesel front, plus the 1.6-liter Turbo D is torquey but harsh at the pinnacle end, and ultimately feels old at. We've not driven it yet, but we reckon the 2.0-liter Turbo D are going to be worth how light it is in gold over smaller displacement models. Big body, big boot, big practicality. Vauxhall couldn't exactly hike the dimensions from the Insignia Sports Tourer rather than make it any more practical. Thankfully, the absolute maximum boot capacity has exploded by 135 liters to a single 665 liters using the rear seats folded down, and 560 liters with him or her in place. Space inside back seats has risen there using the best-in-class Skoda Superb Estate, providing ample legroom even using the front seats problem. The higher-level headroom can also be impressive. Bear in mind that the optional double panoramic sunroof reduces space dramatically. Comfort over cornering. The Insignia Sports Tourer can be a softly-sprung family barge, and yes, it makes no apologies because of it. Try and drive it enthusiastically just like you would a Ford Mondeo or maybe a Mazda 6 Tourer, therefore you'll quickly check out body roll significantly when you move from bend to bend. This is not an auto to be rushed. However, Grip levels are high when driven. Normally the fundamental Vauxhall is usually a safe, comfortable and relaxing car to push. The verdict. The second-generation Vauxhall Insignia Sports Tourer has built for the strengths of that predecessor, and added real competence from the practicality and standard kit-level departments. It doesn't dominate in different one area, yet puts in an exceedingly strong showing in many key ones, which enable it to only often be faulted due to the uninspiring engines. If you're after the safe, practical and cozy large family estate, it's excellent. Watch on for more details around the Vauxhall Insignia Sports Tourer. 3 petrol and 3 diesel engines being offered. 8-speed automatic gearbox sold. Currently no hybrid or electric version. Customers can select from a choice of 3 petrol and 4 diesel engines, spanning from your super-efficient 110 horsepower 1.6-liter Ecotec diesel to your turbocharged 260 horsepower 2.0-liter petrol with all-wheel drive as standard. Vauxhall Insignia Sports Tourer petrol engines. Diesel has long been the natural engine selection for the Insignia, yet a whole new 1.5-liter turbo petrol engine could possibly be about to change this. Available in 2 different power outputs, customers have a varied choice between a newbie 140 horsepower unit along with a Meteor 165 horsepower version. The former produces 250 Nm of torque and is also capable of accelerating from 0 miles per hour in 9.6 seconds, going on with a top speed of 129 miles per hour. Upgrade for the 165 horsepower power plant, and there's a similar level of torque to be had, yet it's available over more on the rev range, peaking at 4,500 revolutions per minute as opposed for the 140 horsepower unit's 4,100 revolutions per minute. This means it's capable of pull for extended in each gear, reaching 60 miles per hour at a standstill in 8.6 seconds and onto a highly regarded speed of 135 miles per hour. It's a basic refined unit most in the time, only be a touch raucous at the top with the rev range. Give the accelerator a good squeeze even during 6th gear and there's useful surge of torque pushing the auto onwards. And yet, it doesn't quite feel as powerful because 165 horsepower suggests, and we'd question how well the engine would perform if the automobile were packed with passengers. Take a try out if you're doubtful. The most effective petrol engine within the range will be the 260 horsepower 2.0-liter turbo 4x4. Capable on the 060 miles per hour sprint in 7.1 seconds along with a top speed of 152 miles per hour, it'll likely be the fastest Insignia Sports Tourer for sale unless the rumored VXR model involves fruition. Torque is rated at 400 Nm. It certainly feels just as quick since the 060 miles per hour time suggests, but those after having a sporty drive will likely be disappointed. The engine sound is dull along with the response is muted. We find it difficult to see HOD by this engine, so take into consideration the potential for poor residual values consequently. Vauxhall Insignia Sports Tourer diesel engines. Diesel power comes inside shape of any 1.6-liter Turbo D Ecotec or 2.0-liter Turbo D engine. The former is needed on a selection of other Vauxhall models and is particularly available in 2 states of tune. The lowest, which often produces 110 horsepower and 300 Nm of torque, giving a 060 miles per hour use of 10.9 seconds plus a top speed of 127 miles per hour, move up towards the 136 horsepower version. Therefore you get an extra 20 Nm of torque that is enough to take 060 miles per hour right down to 9.9 seconds 10.2 for your auto. Top speed is 131 miles per hour for that manual version and 126 miles per hour for your auto. This is expected for being the biggest selling engine. Using the glut of torque it makes useful for everyday driving. However, it will become coarse and flat after 3,000 revolutions per minute, meaning there's little reason to keep on to the gears. It's also quite apparent that sixth gear is firmly designed for motorway use, because the car struggles to provide any meaningful pull below 70 miles per hour in this particular gear. Rounding over diesel engine options would be the 170 horsepower 2.0-liter Turbo D, developing 400 Nm of torque and capable from the 060 miles per hour sprint in 8.4 seconds, 8.6 for your auto. Top speed is rated at 139 miles per hour to the 6-speed manual and 137 miles per hour to the auto. We've not driven this engine yet, but reckon its mix of effortless pulling power and strong fuel economy could help it become the motor to own. Vauxhall Insignia Sports Tourer Gearbox Options. A 6-speed manual gearbox is standard fit on all engines except the 170 horsepower 2.0-liter diesel along with the 260 horsepower 2.0-liter petrol. Instead, they have an 8-speed automatic transmission only, which can be also available like a cost option about the 136 horsepower 1.6-liter diesel. The manual is light and straightforward to use, but feels soft and sludgy when switching between ratios. It's nowhere close to as precise since the manual transmission inside a Mazda 6 wagon or Ford Mondeo estate. Example: we only stood a brief go within the 8-speed automatic, but tends to report it shifts gears smoothly and responds to down changes with reasonable speed. There's no paddles about the wheel, only the central selector. Focus on comfort as opposed to sporty handling. Lighter curb weight means more responsive drive. Plenty of grip, but in addition plenty of body roll. Vauxhall knows its Insignia Sports Tourer usage exceptionally well, and realizes that designing a strong, sporty large estate is just regarding the best way to scare every last one's off. Hence why the 2017 Insignia Sports Tourer is firmly focused towards soft, soul-ridding comfort whichever spec you have it in. However, despite the automobile's increased size, it's lost nearly 200 kilograms over its predecessor, meaning it can feel a feeling lighter on its feet plus more willing to turn into a bend. Drive around in a slow to medium pace, and yes, it flows nicely from corner to corner, having a slow but well-judged steering feel and adequate body control. Yet, push to higher speeds as well as the Insignia Sports Tourer sets out to falter. Body roll. Our body's shell's lateral movement about the chassis increases substantially the quicker you are going or during emergency maneuvers, and although outright grip levels are high, it doesn't feel anywhere close to as crisp they are driving as a Mazda 6. Or simply a Skoda Superb even. Safe and competent within the corners, but Vauxhall's big estate is lacking in driver enjoyment. Despite the auto's size, it's not hugely tough to park or devote tight spaces. There's decent visibility on all corners on the car width, even should the blind spots are greater than on your average family estate. Disappointingly, parking sensors are merely standard on higher spec cars, otherwise being available to be a cost option. Functional interior isn't particularly stylish. All buttons and dials are really simple to watch and employ, however. Ergonomics spoiled by significant blind spots. Sit behind the wheel on the Vauxhall Insignia Sports Tourer and you also immediately feel which the cabin continues to be geared up towards driver. The seat and tire carry excellent adjustment, even though the sat-nav screen is angled usefully in side direction with the driver. Dead ahead may be the clear, but slightly drab-looking dials on lower spec models, improving to some snazzy 8.0-inch digital display on Elite Nav versions. The leader is chunky but visually attractive, and doesn't impede about the driver's view in the dials. Cheap filling indicator stalks spoil the sense of quality, however, just as the odd waste hard plastics scattered about the cabin. And while most with the buttons and switches are actually upgraded on the previous generation model, there's still some which sense that they've been fished out from the Vauxhall parts bin. The tacky plastic handbrake switch can be a prime example. The central infotainment screen, while helpfully angled to your driver, sits with excessive upward slant and is also too far away in the driver. A handle placed ridge below the screen for that user to nap their wrist on tends to make up with this, though. All-round visibility is reasonable for a vehicle in this class, along with the optional head-up display may be valued at spacing when you can stretch going without running shoes, offering clear home elevators vehicle data, navigation and multimedia. The Insignia Sports Tourer was made to produce excellent ride comfort and superb cruising manners, and, on that front, Vauxhall's engineers have succeeded. Whether you're traveling over pockmarked urban roads or badly surfaced motorways, Vauxhall's Big Estate is impressively smooth and refined. Ride quality obviously deteriorates with larger alloy wheels, but around the standard 17-inch rims the Insignia Sports Tourer absorbs bumps and potholes with aplomb. The only time it comes undone occurs when driven over sharp, repeated bumps, since the soft suspension struggles to react on the undulations on time. Up front and within the back, the seats are broad and cozy, with a lot of support all round. There's tons of space, too, meaning rear seat passengers will surely stretch out on long journeys. Road noise may very well be improved, even for the smaller 17-inch alloys, at speeds above 50 miles per hour, and is often a noticeable blot about the copybook of your otherwise refined package. Smooth, relaxed ride quality. Plenty of adjustment and driving position. Excellent amounts of space all round. The Insignia Sports Tourer principal purpose is to supply excellent ride comfort and superb cruising manners, and, on that front, Vauxhall's engineers have succeeded. Whether you're traveling over pockmarked urban roads or badly surfaced motorways, Vauxhall's Big Estate is impressively smooth and refined. Ride quality obviously deteriorates with larger alloy wheels, but about the standard 17-inch rims the Insignia Sports Tourer absorbs bumps and potholes with aplomb. The only time it comes undone is the place driven over sharp, repeated bumps, because the soft suspension struggles to react for the undulations with time. Up front and inside the back, the seats are broad and cozy, with a lot of support all round. There's tons of space, too, meaning rear seat passengers can actually stretch out on long journeys. Road noise may very well be improved, even around the smaller 17-inch alloys, at speeds above 50 miles per hour, and can be a noticeable blot around the copybook connected with an otherwise refined package. 5 trim levels from which to choose. Sporty 3 the most famous. Excellent selection of standard kit on all versions. Vauxhall offers 5 main trim levels with all the Insignia Sports Tourer, starting using the base spec design and rising to top of the range Elite Nav. Design and 3 both are available with all the nav suffix, which adds sat-nav with fully integrated European mapping plus an 8.0-inch color infotainment screen. Standard Vauxhall Insignia Sports Tourer equipment. Kicking from the range may be the base spec design trim. This includes our 4.0 IntelliLink sound system with DAB radio and Bluetooth phone connectivity. 7.0-inch color touchscreen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Vauxhall OnStar with 4G Wi-Fi hotspot. Aircon. automatic headlights, keyless entry and keyless ignition. Leather tire. Autonomous emergency braking, lane departure warning with lane assist. 17-inch alloy wheels. Moving as much as 3 trim adds a little extra kit and sporty styling touches for the Insignia sports tourer, including front fog lights, dark tinted rear windows, rain-sensitive windscreen wipers, sports front seats and sports pedals, dual-zone climate control, twin rear USB sockets, auto-dimming rear-view mirror. SRI VX line nav brings a sporty, more aggressive look on the car, adding no-cost choice of 18-inch alloy wheels excluding 1.6 diesel models, VXR styling pack including sports-style back and front bumpers, side sills and visible exhaust tailpipe, heated, flat-bottom, leather-covered VX line controls, dark fabric headlining, 4.2-inch dashboard color information display. For those after more equipment, Techline Nav increases design spec while using addition of rain-sensitive windscreen wipers, front and rear parking sensors, dual-zone electronic climate control, twin rear USB sockets, auto-dimming rear-view mirror, 4.2-inch dashboard color information display, driver's seat tilt and lumbar adjustment, front passenger seat height adjustment. Top spec Elite Nav is early as plush because the Insignia Sports Tourer gets, and, in addition to Techline Nav trim includes adaptive Intel Ilux LED matrix headlights, dark tinted rear windows, leather seats facings, heated front seats and outer rear seats, 8.0-inch dashboard color information display, Bose Premium Head Unit 260 horsepower turbo 4x4 models only, Vauxhall Insignia Sports Tourer optional equipment. Much from the Insignia Sports Tourer's optional kit comes from the form of fancy tech made to make the motorists and passengers' life easier and much more comfortable. FlexRide is Vauxhall's handled different switchable drive modes, and includes adaptive suspension a variety of road conditions. Driving assistance pack 2 on all trims besides design nav, and features adaptive cruise control which, on automatic models, can even work in congested zones, efficient at coming with a complete stop after which setting off again together with the car before. Driving assistance pack 4 is available on nav models, and includes automatic parking, blind spot monitoring, a rear view camera and rear cross-traffic alert. A head-up display will also be spec'd on nav models in conjunction with all the 8.0-inch dashboard information display. A number of leather seat trims are available too, as is really a Bose premium sound system and wireless phone charger for cell phones. Winter Pack 1, 2, 3 and 4 add a selection of heating elements, including heated front seats, leader and windscreen, according to whether leather seat trim plus the VXR interior pack may be spec'd. A towing pack, flex organizer pack including a boot storage net and inserts on rails to help keep luggage constantly in place, power tailgate and panoramic glass sunroof can be obtained, just beware how the latter compromises headroom inside rear. Also on offer can be a wide number of metallic paint and alloy wheels, including lava red, abalone white and emerald green for that former. Expected 5-star Euro NCAP crash rating. Wide selection of standard safety kit fitted as standard. 3 ISOFIX points altogether, located across rear seats, as well as boasting 6 airbags, ABS and ESP, The Insignia Sports Tourer also comes standard with advanced safety kit like autonomous emergency braking with forward collision warning, lane departure warning with lane assist, and following distance indicator displays the number of seconds you might be traveling behind the automobile in front. Optional safety equipment includes adaptive cruise control with stop-and-go function efficient at bringing the car with a halt in traffic, front parking sensors as well because the standard rear ones, automatic parking, traffic sign recognition and blind spot monitoring. Other safety devices like an energy-absorbing steering column, side impact protection beams and front and back deformation zones are included as standard. If you frequently reverse outside of tight spaces or onto a lively main road, then this optional rear view camera and rear cross-traffic alert is exceptionally useful. The latter gives an audible warning should a motor vehicle be approaching the auto reversing out of the parking space or driveway. As for your actual physical safety in the car inside an accident, the first-generation Insignia scored the total 5 stars in the pre-2009 Euro NCAP crash test, and there's silly to believe this 2017 Sports Tourer model should get anything lower than maximum marks. Large boot, but not quite as big as some rivals. Bags of space in the back and front seats. Plenty of storage dotted throughout the cabin. Much has become made from the Insignia Sports Tourer's boot size, but whichever way you square it, total luggage capacity lags behind some of their rivals. Measuring up at 560 liters with all the rear seats constantly in place and 1,665 liters with him or her folded down, this lags significantly behind the Skoda Superb at 6601,950 liters as well as the Volkswagen Passat 650 and 1,780 liters. Aside using this, the Insignia Sports Tourer advantages of ample rear leg and headroom aforementioned is noticeably reduced because of the optional panoramic sunroof, however. The former, especially, really allows rear seat passengers to stretch their legs out providing the leading seat passenger hasn't got the seat positioned beyond the boundary back. Other benefits include armloads of storage space SP watch through the entire cabin, including capacious door bins and cup holders effective at swallowing basically the largest of drinks bottles. There's another generously sized glove box and armrest storage area, great for hiding valuables from sight. Those with children will quickly realize the 3 rear ISOFIX points incredibly useful, especially since the 3 such as middle one appear wide enough to support a full-size child seat.